Morning.
And Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And I hope through this talk I don't have to stop and leave the podium. I should have been in that emergency room or in that health park being checked out Monday when you had all those people there. You know, as I sat here with the mayor talking, I'd had a notion that Kirk and Chad were smart people. They always knew the right things to say. They were always online. And then I looked out, and they've got a teleprompter up there. And because of the teleprompter, when they put a picture of Clover and Silver up there, I had to ask the mayor, which is which? They both have the same tie on. Well, I want to thank the Chamber for inviting me to talk about the past year and give just a few thoughts about the coming year. But first, I need to get some preliminaries out of the way, and I want to introduce the commissioners, the county commissioners, who will be serving you for the next 4 years. Commissioner George Wathen from the West, would you stand? And audience, please hold your applause until I get through this. Commissioner Charlie Castlin from the Central, and Commissioner Mike Koger from the East. Please help me thank them for their past and future service. You know, Commissioner Koger has big shoes to fill, because in the audience today is former Commissioner Jim Lambert. And it's hard for me to say former. I think when you're a commissioner, you never are former. You're always a commissioner. Jim, would you stand? Jim served this community for 16 years as an elected county commissioner. He served us how long, Jim? 30 years in education, public education, 39 in public education. And he started that when he was 50 years old. So the best I can tell, he and Waitman Taylor are about the same age, pretty close. Jim, I want to thank you for your service to this community, your service to education. I want to thank you for your counsel, and particularly for your friendship the 4 years that I served on the commission with you. Will all of our county employees please stand? Stand up. Stand up, guys. These are the individuals who help county government function as smoothly as it does, and without their help, we couldn't do what we do for the citizens of Davis County. And I also want to recognize some other folks in the audience. If you're here, please stand, and if you would, hold your applause. Claude Porter, our county attorney. Susan Tierney, the circuit court clerk. David Osborne, county jailer. Rachel Foster, our PVA. Keith Kane, our county sheriff. No, you're here, Keith. I listened to your wonderful entry, or your wonderful prayer. And Jeff Jones, our county coroner. Give them a round of applause. Now, if she would, and she's throwing daggers at me, would the First Lady of the county please stand? Without Judy's help, I couldn't do what I do. She takes care of me when I'm sick, and she's probably going to have to really take care of me when I get home today. My son Will is in the audience. Will, would you stand up? After 17 years away from his home here in Owensboro, he's come back to live in Owensboro and practice as an attorney. Now, he used as an excuse that his mother and his father were getting old and he needed to be home to help us out. I took offense at that and promptly slipped and broke my kneecap. So, the state of the county is good. We have money in the bank. We pay our bills on time. Our future is bright. 4 years ago, I stood before this audience full of excitement and anticipation and announced a list of priorities that the new court would pursue. In each succeeding year, I would make a report to you on our successes and on our failures. So let's talk about the county past. Our past successes have been many. This county has seen a reduction in debt and the cost of county operations, a reduction in the subsidy to the county jail, most of which came through the innovative thinking and hard work of our jailer Osborne. The investment in county infrastructure. We maintained our tax rates. We did not raise taxes. We created an economic development fund to incentivize investment in this community, which helped create jobs. We created the Bold Scholarship, and we funded it without taxpayer dollars, but with individual monies. We were instrumental, along with the city, in breathing life back into the dream of a Phase 2 technology center. We helped create a community priorities list where the community finally had some input. We have a road program that addressed both urban and rural needs. These and many things were done for the community and in the community, and many of them continue to impact us every day. But I think the most significant progress made is the cooperation between county government and the governments of the City of Owensboro and the City of Whitesville, and the reestablishment of a dialogue with our surrounding counties and members of the General Assembly. We work cooperatively with Hancock County, McLean County, and Ohio County on projects that have benefited all of us. Through the help of our local legislators, we've enhanced education and worked to pass legislation that have helped cut our costs at the local level. Davis County and the City of Owensboro are known for our willingness to do the hard things necessary to move our communities forward. And we're now looked on as a community that has its act together. So let's talk about the county present. We're working with several counties on projects that would be of tremendous benefit to all in reducing the costs to local government. We're working with our legislators on legislation such as LIFT and the use of the hotel motel tax. These legislations benefit not only our community, but communities throughout the Commonwealth. With the Kentucky Association of Counties and the Kentucky League of Cities, we're working on recommendations for tax reform that will be presented to the General Assembly. We continue to work on regulatory issues that affect all of us in our daily business, trying to ease that burden while watching out for the consumer. While we've seen an increase in cooperation between our local governments, between our neighboring counties, and even in Frankfort, we still often see community organizations engaging in building silos around their operations because it's easier to have total control, total say-so on how things are done than if they have to negotiate and work to determine a path forward. When I was first elected to local government, I worked to deal cooperatively with groups of people and organizations. And I worked to build alliances within organizations. And it became evident to me that silos did exist. Everyone wanted what they wanted, and they wanted it to be controlled by them. Everyone wanted a building, a gym, a meeting room, a ball field, and they wanted it to be theirs and theirs exclusively. They also wanted the government's help in funding it. Instead of a great facility that the community as a whole could use and support and fund, such as this convention center, each would have their own so it could sit idle most of the time. But the expenses would still be there, even if it wasn't full. Folks, I know that silos exist in our community, and so do you. When I became judge executive, I witnessed those silos within county government. I'm happy to say with the help of the commissioners, we were able to root out and tear down those silos to better use our manpower and our equipment to serve you. You will see our Parks Department using equipment from the Road Department using solid waste equipment, and all departments sharing employees. Another example of cooperation is the celebration of our county bicentennial this year. Instead of building our own silo and creating all new events, the committee partnered with Mount St. Joe, the Art Museum, the Museum of Science and History, the City of Owensboro, We Are Downtown, Lampkin Farms. By combining our resources with these established groups, we get more bang for your buck. And I want to invite you to attend the events all year long that will be taking place, and you should find a list of those events on the table. And I again want to thank Aloma and Lee Dew for agreeing to chair the Bicentennial Committee. And I want to thank Commissioner Lambert for agreeing to continue to serve on that committee representing the county. Partnerships and cooperation help tear down silos. Partnerships and cooperation require hard work. Partnerships and cooperation are difficult things to accomplish. They require compromise. They require give and take. But in order to continue the momentum that our community has, to continue to promote the image that we project to the rest of the state, we must continue to do those hard things. We can't afford to slide back into the old image that I heard many years ago. You know, it's just hard to do things for Owensboro and Davis County. If local governments are involved in funding these silos, every dollar spent in duplicating those buildings or those services are dollars that are not available to provide the basic services in this community that are needed. And folks, for all of our successes, there are still many needs in our community. Substance abuse, homelessness, hunger, health care issues, unemployment and underemployment, undocumented immigrants, all relevant to our everyday life, and all tied to humanity. Tied to humanity, meaning that they are tied to you and me in some way. Davis County Fiscal Court stands ready to partner and help organizations that help build partnerships and break down silos in our community to better serve our citizens. Let's talk about the future. Most of the folks in this room are involved in business in some form or fashion. I believe that 6 years after the beginning of the Great Recession, we're beginning to see a turnaround in employment and sales and profits. And while you are involved in your business, you must remember that you're also involved in politics as well as the social order of society. You must become engaged in the community. And let me say that again, you must become engaged in the greater community. You must look outside the silos of your own life and your businesses. As our future unfolds, I believe that the perennial issues of right to work, prevailing wage, and minimum wage will continue to be at the forefront of discussion. The past 2 or 3 weeks, I've had calls from people on both sides. When will the county pass a right to work? Is the county thinking about a minimum wage? What are we going to do about prevailing wage? These issues combine the fiscal, social, and economic sides of a life in a many-faceted conversation, and I think that this community, this great community of ours, deserves to have that conversation. At a Western Kentucky University dinner a couple of weeks ago, student leaders talked about fair rental agreements and a fairness ordinance. Folks, these issues are not going to go away. We've seen our streets explode as communities question police authority as a result of several unfortunate shootings. The world is torn apart by terrorist organizations. And all this in the name of religion. Our own country has shown a shift from the center to the far left and far right to such a degree that efficient governing and use of tax dollars has become all but impossible. Our grandparents and parents lived through the social upheavals of the Great Depression and World War II. I lived through the Cold War, the Iron Curtain, the social upheaval of the 60s and 70s. Those upheavals brought tremendous change to our country. Today, you and I and everyone in the world are living through another social upheaval. And it's brought on by a surge in technology and communications. Now, I'm going to tell you that change is scary, and change is uncomfortable, and change is hard. And I'm going to let you know something. At 67, I don't want to do hard things. I don't want to do scary things. And my son will tell you I don't want to change. I don't want to learn new rules. But I'm going to tell you that I do know that you don't survive change by sticking your head in a hole and ignoring what's going on outside your own world. You don't survive by building a silo. You can't afford to wait to be asked, but you must open your minds and hearts and extend a hand to help tear down the walls that separate us. You must become engaged in your community and use knowledge and compassion to strip away the evils of prejudice and extremism. Whether it's race or religion, rich or poor, Democrat or Republican, rural or urban, we cannot allow these divides to tear down the fabric of our society that we in this community have worked so hard to build up. You must become engaged in your community. And you have to remember that partnerships and cooperation help tear down the walls that push us to those extremes. Partnerships and cooperation move us to the center, and a move to the center assures the survival of the American dream for all of us. Our new court will continue to work on economic development and job creation. And while we have seen success through the recommendations of our advisory board, close to $100 million in investment, the creation of 200 jobs and an $8 million payroll, much remains to be done, particularly in bringing in investments that create better paying jobs for our citizens, thus making the American dream available for all of our people. We will work along with the rest of the community to finish raising the required funds so that we can take the dream of a Phase 2 technology center to reality. By funding $2 million of the $4.5 million required in local match, the City of Owensboro and Davis County has put its stamp on the notion that higher education is a path to realizing the American dream. And we will continue to support of education as the beacon that illuminates that path for all. And I want to take just a second to talk about the Bold Promise Scholarship. Last year I stood before you and we announced 2 scholarships. We also talked about how we were trying to raise funds. And I want to thank personally the Public Life Foundation for their $50,000 grant to us in 2013, and another $50,000 challenge grant if we could go out in the community and raise $50,000. And I'm happy to stand before you today and tell you that the Bold Scholarship Fund Committee has done just that. We have raised the money in order to get that challenge. A year and a half ago, we had $10,000 in the bank. Today, we have something in excess of $160,000 in the bank. Before you clap, 2 years from now, I want to stand here and tell you we've got $500,000 in the bank, and I need each and every one of you to help. And I want to thank some of our bold donors: Jago Homes, Riverfront Jam, Green River Area Charitable Foundation, the Lawrence and Augusta Hager Educational Foundation, Southern Star Gas Pipelines, the Marilyn and William Young Charitable Foundation, Martha Clark Bryant Foundation, the Owensboro Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association, M&M Enterprises, and all of those other folks, including the members of our board, who have contributed in some way in money and time and talent. The Bold Promise Scholarship is just that. It's a bold promise. It's a promise that good people such as yourselves believe in tearing down your personal silos, that you believe in helping others seek a better life for themselves and their family. On your table, there is a calendar, a Bold Scholarship calendar. And if there are not enough for you folks, I think we have some at the back door, don't we, Commissioner Glenn? We as a community have a long way to go in tearing down the walls of our own silos. But as I've always said about our community, I have great faith in our ability to do just that. And in doing the hard things and in doing the scary things, our community, our people, you and myself, will help light the way for the rest of the Commonwealth and for our nation. Now, while looking for a closing, and you always have to close with a big bang, and I saw some of you go, whew, thank God he's going to close. I happened to see a column by Dear Abby, and I know Chad reads Dear Abby every day, but in that column was a presentation of a list of New Year's resolutions that were adapted from the original Credo of Al-Anon. And I have just a few that I would wish for each and every one. Just for today, I'll accept what is. I'll face reality. I'll correct those things I can correct and accept those things I cannot. Just for today, I'll make a conscious effort to be agreeable. I'll be kind and courteous to those who cross my path, and I'll not speak ill of others. I'll improve my appearance, speak softly, and not interrupt when someone else is talking. Just for today, I'll refrain from improving anybody else except for me. Just for today, I'll gather the courage to do what's right and take responsibility for my own actions. This one wasn't there, but I've added it. Just for today, I'll look outside my silo for the opportunity to help someone else achieve the American dream. Thank you, God bless you, and have a very happy new year.